Well, everyone, welcome to the video. Thank you for tuning in. I'm here at the lake. Had a change of plans. I had started the day on the river fishing for catfish. Things didn't go as hoped. Just wasn't getting bit, so I decided instead of spending my morning out there doing something that obviously wasn't working, I'd just go ahead and change it up. I went home, grabbed the ultralight rod, and headed out here to the lake. We're just gonna beat the banks here. I'm just on foot. We're gonna make a bunch of casts, and we're gonna see if we can find some fish that might not be active, moving up through the shallows, looking for a meal, some fish that are actively feeding. So all of the water that I can access from the bank out here is going to be very shallow, so hopefully we'll find some fish that are up shallow and feeding. So that's the plan. I'm gonna grab the ultralight rod. Like I said, just kind of beat these banks. I'm gonna walk the banks up and down, and yeah, I've got my pickup here. We'll kind of work an area and then move on and go hit another area, but we're gonna be fishing from the bank out here this morning. Hopefully we find a few. I think might be able to find some bluegill, possibly some largemouth bass, and there's a chance we may get a crappie or two out here as well. So that's kind of the plan for the morning. Hope it goes well. Let's see what we can find. All right, we're gonna get started up here at the top of the lake, right here where this water from the creek runs into the lake. And we're just gonna work this area here. It's a good place to find some fish. A lot of rocks in the water as I just throw into snags, so that's a real good indication of how we're gonna get the day started. But I guess I'll break that off and we'll do a take two. How about that? Okay, we're back. We got our jig back, and I was just getting ready to explain. There's a bunch of rocks in the water here, and so it's a good place to find fish, but it's one of those places where I tend to fish a little bit more quickly than I would normally, or you know, that I otherwise would like to, just because I tend to kind of swim my lure up over the top of these rocks if I can. So again, working this ultralight rod, I like to kind of fish it sort of slow. But where we're working around these rocks to start, we'll work this bait back to us a little bit quicker than we normally would, and just try to stay out of the snags, avoid having to retie a line. But in the meantime, try to find a bass or a bluegill that may be interested. There's one right there. Okay. Little bass. Sat with it in his mouth. I thought he'd come off. Oh, and he just popped my jig off. I need to replace my line. It's been a while since I've replaced my line, so I get that jig back. Hopefully they get bigger than that, but that's better than I was doing out on the river, so figured I'd come out here. I thought I might find some little bass like that at least. Find something to get a little tug on the line. I'm not sure why my knot came loose though. I don't think he broke, maybe. Oh, he did break the line. No, he didn't break the line. Oh, the line just slid out. That's one thing to keep in mind. The line just slid out from the eye on this jig. Has a slight opening, and so I guess you get a fish to pull just right. They can slip this really light line out through that opening. But we'll get this jig tied back on. And that's fish number one for the morning. It's starting to get really hot out here. I got out here just as it was starting to get hot. Well, we're on a spot here where I was gonna just drive right on by, but saw a crane in the water and figured, well, if anyone knows where the fish are, those cranes are expert anglers, so I figured I'd just give it a shot down here. I made one cast and got bit. I didn't land the fish, but I got bit, so we know there's fish there. I think it was a green sunfish that had hit. Well, that's something to keep your eyes out for. Well, there's a snag. This has just kind of been a struggle so far. I'm getting ready to head out of here and go hit a different place altogether, but we're gonna follow that crane. That crane's making a stalk on some fish down here, and I can see those fish surfacing. we'll go see if we can pick off some of the fish that crane's trying to stalk. There's one. That's actually a little bass. So this is just a spot here that I stumbled across the other day with a coworker. We're just at a road culvert. And we're below the lake. So there's the stream, just the water running out of the lake that runs through here. And there's just this pool of water here at this road culvert, and we noticed the other day that it was full of fish. None of them are big. They're all pretty small fish, but you can see it. The water's relatively clear. You can see the fish down in there, and they had looked like green sunfish to me, but that one there was obviously a little bass, which is fine. Awesome little bait hole. If you were interested in coming out here to catch some bait, that one there is a green sunfish. It'd be a sweet place to stack up on some bait, but the lake wasn't working out. I thought I'd maybe get on a school of bluegills somewhere. Of course, I could have been a little more probably thorough in my fishing, but just don't have a lot of time this morning, and this was a hole that I wanted to hit on my way out anyways, just to see what was in there, to confirm that they were green sunfish, which now we have. But there's also some bass in there we've seen. But I was going to stop here anyways, and now I might just spend a little bit more time here than I had planned on. Well, there's another one there. That's 3 casts in a row, and it's just like I thought it would be. I mean, it's just a small pool, really clear water, and it's loaded with fish. So I kind of figured come out here with one of these 1-inch minnows, we were likely to be able to just kind of pick them off. Problem is, fishing with all these weeds and such to get caught in is a little bit of a challenge, and then the wind is certainly not helping. It's pretty windy out here today, which is frustrating, but we have some storms moving in. It'll be nice to get some moisture here soon. We didn't put that one anywhere near any of those fish, did we? They seem to be on the other side of this little hole. Over on that side there ought to be something. Need to fix that gulp. You can watch it fall through the water, and it's sure not falling in a very natural pattern. It's kind of helicoptering down there. It would seem that I may have already spooked all these fish out of here too, because I had been seeing a bunch of them. Could throw right to them, watch them eat the lure, and then move on. But I'm not seeing any now. That's kind of why I wanted to hit it just on my way out. I thought, well, I'll just go see what's in there. I'll pick off a few. No need to spend a whole bunch of time on it, because you can see what's in there, and there's nothing of any size hanging out in there. Just a bunch of these little things. So I didn't think I needed to spend a lot of time here, but I couldn't find any fish anywhere else. And I was like, well, I know where there's fish, so I'll just go hit that for a minute. It is always kind of fun. Those fish are cold too. Water temps are changing pretty rapidly, but it's hot out here today. The air temperature is really hot today. But even though the fish aren't big, they're still fun to catch. And it's a lot of fun when you just stumble upon a little honey hole like this. Oh, missed one there. Dang it. Every time I miss one, I wrap around a tree branch. Setting the hook is a dangerous game that you play in a spot like this, but it's a lot of fun to find a little spot like this and just kind of fish it and see what's in there. Well, we'll make a couple more casts. See if we can find something down in there. There's another little guy. Bunch of little green sunfish, a good little bait catching hole. I want to catch some more bass. I was surprised to get that bass out of there. We were right below the lake, so I don't know why I was surprised, but it makes sense that there'd be some bass in there. Well, guess that's it. We'll look at the other side over here, see if there's anything over here. Not much water over here. Nope, but there's a fish sitting in that tube. That's a better one. That's the biggest one that I pulled out of the little hole. They're cool fish. They're really a pretty and a fun fish to catch. And they show up just in really unexpected places. This isn't really the kind of place that you would think to look for them. Oh, there was another one. They're hanging in that tube. I'll bet if I get my bait down in that tube. There he is. They're hiding. I can't see them from where I'm standing, but they're hiding back in that tube. And as I drop my bait just in front of the tube, they're darting out and grabbing it and then darting back in. It's probably a good spot for them to hold all the little food, the little insects or whatever that's floating down through here. It's going to be working its way into that little tube, and that's probably an excellent spot for them to just sit and wait for food to come to them. Oh, correction, they might not be in the tube. They might be under the tube, because that one I saw very clearly come out from, I had my bait on the tube, inside the tube, and I dropped it out. Yep, they're under the tube. There he is. Ha ha ha. Little bugger. Tricked him. Just couldn't resist. I think they've learned. They know what kind of game I'm playing here. But they just can't resist. There he is. That's hilarious. They're up underneath that tube. That's really cool. It's a great place to kind of hang out. Oh, I watched that one. I just tossed back. I watched him dart back up underneath that tube. It's an awesome place to kind of just hang out. Pick off some bait. Oh, that's awesome. Every cast. I'll have to make a mental note of this culvert here and just know that this is a place I can go to find a few fish when fishing is tough. So my plans this morning just didn't work out. I was down on the river for a couple hours trying to catch catfish. Nothing going on. Same thing last weekend. I fished the river last weekend for several hours trying to catch catfish. Nothing going on. I might have learned my game now. That or we just already caught them all, but I doubt that that is the case. Well, tell you what, it was fun while it lasted. Let's go look at this other side one more time. Yep, there's the fish showed back up again. A fella could probably just rotate between the two and give him some time to calm down and let things settle. Move over to the other side and just kind of keep working it that way. You could probably stand here all day and pick off fish. That one there's a bluegill. Okay, so that's 3 species all out of just one little road culvert, one little hole. Well, that's really cool. I'm glad I made the stop. When I gave it a minute and went over to the other side, the fish were all back out just in the middle of this hole. You can see them. The water's clear enough. You can see them just swimming around doing their thing. But now that I pulled one out of it again, they know that danger is near and they have gone back into hiding. But it might have been long enough now that those fish hiding up underneath the culvert over there may be willing to play again. Gosh dang it. That gets old though, dealing with these snags. That might be the end of that jig. Yep, gone. Suckers are right back at it. I left for 1 second, go tie on a new jig, and they're all back out. Well, I think that's kind of how this place works. Catch one fish, give it a few minutes, let them come back out. I don't really need to though. I've already satisfied my curiosities by discovering that there are in fact fish in here. There are 3 different species of fish in here, and they're all catchable. We'll check the tube over here on this side. Doesn't seem to be anything there. Back over to this side. There's one. They're so gullible. Have short memory. This one's almost better. You'd think the other side would be better because there's just a bigger, deeper hole over there. And there's a lot of fish over there, and that's where I got that bass and that bluegill, but this is almost a better spot to fish for them in a tiny little hole like this. Over on this side, almost seems to be better just because the fish are up under the culvert. They can't see me, so it seems like they feel safer. They can come out, dart out, hit a bait, and then dart back into their little hideout. Their memory might not be so short this time around. Caught that one fish. But not finding any others. All right. Well, folks, I think that's good enough for me. I've satisfied my curiosities. Figured out that already knew there were fish in there. They are in fact catchable. I figured they would be. I just couldn't resist coming over here and dropping a bait in there. It's like the kid in me. I knew what was in there because I could see what was in there. Of course, I didn't know there were bluegill and bass, but I knew that the fish were small. I pretty much knew that they would eat that 1-inch Gulp minnow, but the child in me just couldn't resist. I had to come out here and actually do it. So I had a lot of fun. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this footage. It's I don't know, not sure I have much use for it. We'll see. I may end up posting this video, just a real short one, just to show anyone that's curious what I was doing here. Kind of a unique way to fish, drive around, find these road culverts, just kind of peek over the bridge, see what's going on. Who knows? You may stumble across something, but that's what I did out here today. I salvaged a day that otherwise wasn't going as hoped or as intended. So thankful for that. Had a lot of fun out here. It's time for me to get out of here though. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you again soon.